Hello and welcome everybody to a magical and enchanting story. A story of about a man who is got one goal in life and one goal only. We're going to discover who that guy is. But before we do, I'd like to say for everyone who's joined the stream, Sparta Chris, and anyone else who's probably just lurking nearby, thank you for joining in. I am here to tell a nice story to a nice solo play, hopefully. Um, But let me bring you guys up to speed with what's currently going on. This is for the game Wizarding World. It uses basic role playing. What do they call it? I think it's basically a basic role playing rule set. BRP. Yeah, BRP rule set, which is the same rule set that's been modified and used for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. So, with today, I do have the castle in the background, closest thing I could get to Hogwarts. Um, and that's courtesy of Sparta Chris. I think that's pretty spot dead on, to be honest. So we're just gonna, start with that. Pretty spot full dead on, I think. So, all right, I'm going to be taking on the role of a character, and we are going to explore what he is trying to do in this world. All right, so again, this is Wizarding World. This takes place in the Harry Potter universe or in the Rollingverse, however you want to count that. I am a big J.K. Rowling fan, so J.K. Rowling, you'll probably never see this, but here we go. And you're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, you and like a million other people. Yeah, there we go. Although I think I'm going to be a bit more, successful about it than I've seen other games, but that's just me. So, the scene is going to open up with a boy in Diagon Alley. This boy is currently standing about 4 foot, about 5'9" actually. No, not 5'9". Yeah, sorry. He's about 4'7", roughly about 75, 80 pounds, and currently 11 years old. As he has a trolley going across. He managed to go from store to store, purchasing various things he's going to need for school year. And he's going through the letter now. On the letter, it has Hogwarts, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And on it is signed the headmistress, Professor McGonagall. This year is 2001. This boy is named Arley Hawthorn. And he is getting ready to start his wizarding journal to go to Hogwarts. He's not sure which house he'll be put on, but whatever house he'll be put in, he will definitely accept it. But there's still one more thing he has to pick up, and he has yet to stop there. His most favorite place of all time, Ollivander's. He has not picked up his wand, which is the last thing that he has to do. He walks into Ollivander's with all of his belongings, and looks around. Sees that it's a little bit of a dusty old shop, but the table looks fairly clean. And he hears someone coming over. And a elderly man looks over and goes, "Well, a new student for this year. I suppose you're here to purchase a wand. Let me see what we got for you." Arley, not really knowing how to respond to that, as he's kind of a bit of an outcast in life, just slightly nods. His social skills aren't really the best, but, he is really trying. He does really try. But he nods in a nervous way. The old man begins going out and picking up wands, going through the wands, or these boxes that look like they belong, like long boxes. And he's going, "Well, let's see how this one works." Give me 1 second, I gotta pull something up here. There we go. He begins taking the box and he puts it down on the desk, and he motions for the boy to come over and try out the wand as he's about to hand it to him. He opens up the box and he picks it up. And we're going to roll for a couple things here real quick. All right. All right. Good. And hang on 1 second. I'm going to be able to describe this wand to you. Yes. So he picks it up. He says blackthorn wood, dragon heartstring core, roughly 11 1/4 inch, or not 11, 10 1/4 inches. Try that. Arley took it, kind of wondering what he's supposed to do with it. It makes no sign or magical sense, magical wind or anything. And he's like, he looks at Garrick with kind of a side look. Ollivander leans in and says, "Give it a wave." He waves the wand and he breaks a chair, a wooden chair that was just sitting in the back for Garrick to just sit down every now and then as he's getting old in this time. It's like, nope, definitely not. He begins looking for another wand, one that he can give to the boy, and hopefully it'll be the right one. We're going to roll again for it. All right, this will be cedar wood. He brings up another one. He goes, all right, this will be cedar wood, unicorn hair, approximately 11 3/4 inches. He gives it another wave, and suddenly the lantern bursts into flames. Nope, not that. He begins putting the wands back, and he notices that there is one wand that he actually does have. One wand that has been in his family for generations. One that he would never think to give away to anyone. He looks at the boy, notices that the boy gives kind of a blank stare, and is not quite sure what he's been through, but has decided to open up this one box. But to get to the box, he must first unlock the chest that it lays in. Not quite sure about this one, but something is giving me an inkling. Comes in, and he comes to the desk, opens up the wand. The wand is a very particular wood known as cherry wood. Cherry wood, 11 inches. Let's see how it works with you. What's the core, sir? I'll tell you if it chooses you. He hands the wand to the boy, and the wand lights up and lights the whole room. Lights begin to flicker brightly. Wind begins blowing around as the entire shop begins to shake. That is very interesting. What is, sir? Well, that wand I've never been able to make. I'm one of the greatest wand makers that have ever lived, but only one of my family members have been able to do that. Which is why I'm very curious about you, young man. I want to know who you really are. For instance, out of all the wands I have in my shop, this one has a different core from the rest. Thestral tail hair. Thestrals are magical creatures that you can only see if you've seen death at any age. You, a boy of merely 11 years old, going to school for his first year at Hogwarts, and you've already seen something far more dangerous than anyone's ever lived, including the great Harry Potter. So my question is to you, my young friend, who are you? Arley begins to smile, and we begin cutting to a scene. We go to a black screen and fast forward roughly about 10 years, about 9-10 years into the future. A man walks the streets of Nocturne Alley. He's dressed in a black pants, a black suit, kind of like a black dress robe. Well, not dress robe, but like black dress shirt and blue robes. The blue dress robes are, and they're not too dress. They're like regular robes, but they're nice, with the color of dark blue. And it looks like it has a symbol on it of a raven, but not one of Ravenclaw. Just a different one. One that looks like it has been altered and made. Or made, basically original. This man of red hair stands roughly about 5'9", 160 pounds, walks into Borgin and Burke's. He sees one person sitting down, having a drink. Sits down in front of him. And he says, "I'll have a butterbeer." The guy goes, "So, the great man of mystery himself, looking for the great Craftsman journal. Do you have it, or do you know where its whereabouts?" "Oh, I have it," says the man as he reveals where it is. "It's right here. Part of it, anyway. Part of it could be, some of it could still be missing. But who knows, right? You're willing to pay anything." I believe the agreement was 500 galleons. That was the agreement. A barmaiden came down and brings down a butterbeer. "Thank you." He drinks it. It says 500 galleons is the cost, so maybe we do the exchange. He's like, "Not so fast." Guy leans in. He says, "First off, I'm going to say this right now, kind sir. I found out who you were this entire time. See, my sources tell me you don't have the 500 gallons. In fact, you just actually spent, just a couple sickles just to get that nice little butterbeer. But you are not, you don't have the wealth that you proclaimed you have. So I want to know, what do you, of all people, have to do with this journal? Why this journal? Why you? It's been 3 years. Maybe a little bit longer than most people would think. Actually, believe it or not, Ollivander passed away more than 3 years ago. His estate was ransacked by many wizards and many people because he had no next of kin. And if there was any, they had no interest or place in this wizarding world. So, I would like the journal. If at all possible, I do have the galleons here. My question is, who did you have to kill or rob to get it? Because you are not very wealthy, my friend. For this last time, I found out who you are, Mr. Hawthorn. You haven't exactly done anything to make any money since you've been out of Hogwarts. In the last 3 years, it's been stated that you've been looking for all of Ollivander's work. In this dark, unprecedented time, do you have my money, or am I here to get robbed? Arley picks up the butterbeer with one hand, and he picks it up with his right hand. Sits it down. It's very peculiar on how you turned around the handle to your right hand. Any particular reason for that? Well, yes, actually. If you do know who I am, you very much know exactly about a few things about me. For starters, I've been I'm kind of a decent wizard, I would like to think. Maybe. I mean, I might have heard you were a decent wizard. Ooh. Yeah, well, he turns it back around, revealing his left hand. Nothing fishy going on here. At least I wouldn't think so. Look, do we have a deal or not? Suddenly, two other men come out of nowhere. Are we really going to do this? Maybe. Alright, I'm going to make a couple rolls here real quick to see if I'm able to... And then I'm going to tell you what he's going to do. Damn. I'm not getting any luck on this. Alright. Fair enough. Okay. This dice sucks. There we go. A little bit better. He's like, I'm not going... You know, we're not going anywhere but you. You're going to be leaving Borgin and Burke's. But before we do, we're going to figure out exactly why you're looking for it. Good luck with that. And as everyone gets ready to draw wands, Arley managed to get his out first and manages to pummel both of the... wait, hold up. I got to make a roll for them. Oh, boy. Nope. Okay. He manages to... Yes, there's kitties in the background, Mrs. Tabletop. Alright. Arley manages to actually cast a quick spell and pummels one guy right into another table, knocking him unconscious, while the other one pummels him right into, as well, right into a table. Doing a little bit of damage because he was unable to, well, he was unable to, defend. Give me 1 second, I gotta get my damage dice out. Let's see. I don't think I made it that high, so we're going to say... Okay. I'm thinking if I did it right... Give me 1 second. Everyone, this is like... This system has never been test played. Or at least how I set this up. I just got to go to my combat and injury. Here we go. Alright. Okay, so a D6. I do get a D6. Alright. Arley, of course, is feeling pretty hurt right about now as he takes 6 points damage. Which is more than half. Alright. Oh, whoops. Arley then returns an attack. Oh boy, I got like everything coming across my computer right just now. Returns the attack back to the other guy and managed to pummel him right into the fireplace. And then the main gentleman who's holding the book is getting up and... Ooh. Nope. And hits Arley for 5 points of damage, knocking him very, very severely hurt. Let's see here. That was at least 2 spells. Once again, I have to ask why a man like you really wants this journal. And let's see here. He is going to try and levitate a table over his head. And he succeeds. He's like, well, quite frankly, I kind of need it for my studies. But since you want to be kind of difficult, my wand is ready for you too, sir. I don't think there's any issues. Actually, the problem that you haven't quite figured out is if you know a lot about me, you should know about my wand. It makes it very... Sometimes between me and my wand, we figured out you don't really need a lot of motion or verbal to actually cast a spell as long as you're just thinking it. What? Yeah. And he drops it, and this entire table drops right on the guy, smashing him nearly to death. The book actually drops to the floor. Arley's like, I think I gotta get the hell out of here. He picks up the book, and he books it outside of Borgin and Burke's. He begins quickly running as quickly as he can out of the alley. Let's see. I'm going to need to give an athletics roll. Athletics? Is it athletics? I don't know. It's physical. It is going to be... Oh. Well, that's some crap. I don't have run. I don't have basic athletics. That's some shit. Well, I guess it'll just fall under physical then, which I only have a 5% in. Yep. He does basically get out of there eventually, but it takes him longer than anticipated. But he does manage to get himself to safety and back into his house. Or at least what he calls home, which right now is just a tiny hut in the middle of, just outside of Diagon Alley. Arley begins wheezing very, not wheezing, but breathing very hard as he just ran miles outside of Diagon Alley. Which, unfortunately, that would at least take up a lot of his fatigue. He begins sitting down, and he's been going through the journal. He goes through it quickly because he wants to know some secrets that Ollivander probably took to the grave with him. But he figures unless he jotted down every bit of his secrets, there will be any information he could use to wand making. And the very first thing that the first page opens up to is the first few pages is the Ollivander family tree, which seems quite extensive, but not as extensive as most wizarding families. We're going to take a quick minute here, and I'm going to roll some heal checks real quick. We're going to go to the hold screen. I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far, but then I'm going to reveal to you what it reveals inside the journal. All right, for this next scene, I did prep. I did prep some. I did prep some. Oh God, what do you call it? Music. There we go. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it, unless I actually bring in Foundry. So I'm going to go into my Foundry page. There we go. So here's some adventure music as... I'm going to turn it down a little bit though. Can you guys hear me okay? So Arley, plopping the journal down right in front of himself, he begins searching through it. A few of the pages talk about various different types of wood. After the family tree, he gets into various forms of wood and stuff that can be used, and to wand making. I hope you guys can hear me just fine. All right. Enough pause there. Sorry, someone sent me a message. All right. Anyway, so he begins going through various types of wood, such as dogwood, acacia, which is like, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Acacia. Then he gets to the cores. This was this entry. Once he got to the cores of the journal, it seems like he entered in a more serious realm. There was documents, or documented sections of various cores, but the ones that was highly outlined was the ones he paid attention to. It said that Ollivander made wands with 3 different types of cores: the dragon heartstring, the unicorn hair, and the phoenix feather. These cores were, in a sense, far superior, even if they truly weren't, but the most stable. There was other different types of cores, such as the thestral tail hair, which is really what interested Arley in the first place, because he only had one wand that was built. It said with that hair, or that type of core. And it is said that only one of his family members successfully did it, managed to retrieve thestral tail hair to use in this particular wand. The wand that Arley carries is made of cherry wood, thestral tail hair, solid, with 11-inch length. He remembers a time that, as he's reading the entry, he remembers a time that he goes to Charms class and was actually taught by Professor Flitwick the special spell Wingardium Leviosa. And he remembers the very first time that he casted it in his, in there. He began, there was a feather in front of him. He pulls out his wand. He goes through the motions, and he successfully said the words. And on his first try, managed to levitate a feather off the desk. Flitwick was impressed. And what he was even more impressed later in the coming weeks that followed. He managed to do it without motion and without verbally saying anything. Flitwick took a definite surprise to the fact that he knew that spell, or a definite surprise that he was able to do that spell at such a young age, because spells that you don't say any incantation to, even if they have one or not with the motions, are difficult, to cast. There's a reason for it. It tends to be a bit more unstable. But Arley managed to do it. Of course, he also remembers the time that he first saw Hogwarts a few weeks prior. And before he even met Professor Flitwick, how he went through the sorting hat and he was sorted out into Ravenclaw. He didn't pay no mind to his Ravenclaw companions, but he did have a couple friends. Trying to remember who they were, as he hasn't seen them in so many years. But his wand, he felt, was special, as that only one Ollivander was able to make it. But what he wants to know is, why didn't he use the other cores? And this, he will spend the next 2 days studying. After about 2 days of study and resting, he managed to, and of course healing. I don't know how much he would have healed. Hang on one second, I got people coming to my door. Sorry about that. Had kids that came in, didn't know how quiet they were going to be. Once again, after his 2 days of study, which was very hard for him, as that he feels like he may have some broken ribs, but have not seen the doctor quite yet, or a medical specialist quite yet that could help him heal, or a magical nurse. He managed to actually find out why he didn't use any of the other cores. That some of them proven to be powerful, yes. Some of them weaker, inferior, yes. But all mostly unstable, minus the unicorn hair, phoenix feather, and dragon heartstring. Why Ollivander separated from these is apparently clear at clear as it's a clearly as it's a stability thing. So that's what it took for him to become the famous wandmaker. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to try and see if I can find someone who can help me here. He began writing a letter to a dear friend of his, and saying that he does need some help if they would not be too problematic to come in and maybe see him for a bit. He then hands it to his owl. His owl's name is Ollie, nicknamed after Ollivander. Here you go, Ollie. Take it to her. And yes, he did say it, her. A female friend that he would have. As the owl flew away. About a few hours later, there was a knock at his door, and he got up and he answered it. And in it, as he opened up the door, a girl of blonde hair, hazel eyes, was standing there with a bag. Arley, what happened? Oh, trusted some dark wizards and Borgin and Burks, and you were in Nocturne Alley? Yeah. Kind of was. When? Like 3 days ago. And you're just now? Yes. I'm just now telling you. Arley, sit down. Ugh. He sits down, making various grunt noises. She's like, well, what did they hit you with? Well, they hit me with a spell and I flew into a table. I think the table did more damage than the spell. And I think the spell was just a harmless thing. It was the force that blew me back. Well, clearly you are very hurt, Arley. What did I tell you? What was so important to go to Nocturne Alley anyway? This. She begins looking through and goes, this is one of the journals from the Ollivander estate. I thought that place was ransacked after, he passed. It was. I think that's one of his items that's been circulating around. Are you still upset with the fact that, he's not around anymore? He picks up the book and he closes it. He says, yes, and I'm upset that the auras have done nothing about it, or the Ministry of Magic. I heard the famous Harry Potter is there, but you know what? He doesn't seem to be investigating anything else other than his own problems, which he's always did since he was a kid at Hogwarts. You don't really like him too much, do you? No, because when he asked for help, people, gave it to him. Look, Arley, I know you're still upset about how your life went and where your life is going, and no, I'm more upset with what happened to Garrick. Mr. Ollivander was a kind man, a nice man, but people wanted, like every other dark wizard out there, they wanted power. What greater power than to hike up the cost of wands? Pretty sure that stupid shop has his opponent shop is now making more money than anything. All right, Arley, I'm gonna patch you up, but you need to take it easy for at least a couple days. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna be able to do it. So she takes out a wand on top of some other things, and she begins trying to cast a healing spell, but it doesn't seem like the spell is actually having any kind of effect on him. All right. After a couple hours, she only manages to heal him roughly about... Okay, maybe that's full health. She was saying an incantation as well as waving her wand around him. All right, that's the most I can do for now, she says as she puts the wand away. Looks like I was able to take your wounds down from broken ribs to bruising to a few other things to, just a lot of bruising. Feels a lot better as we talk, Arley, you gotta stop doing this. You gotta stop doing this to yourself. What happened to Garrick was sad, but you can't blame the Ministry of Magic for everything. No, I can only blame them for what they only want to investigate what they feel is a murder. There was no evidence that any dark wizards went after Mr. Ollivander. No, that of course not. Why? Or else they wouldn't be investigating it. After what Mr. Ollivander did to help those kids, help out Harry and his friends, and yet they don't want to investigate. They can't investigate. The Ministry is not going to allow them. Yeah, once again, back to, I'm not having this argument with you again, Arley. I know you don't like them, but you really got to stop this whole hatred thing. I'm not on it for a whole thing or a whole tangent of because I hate them. But you have to admit, if we had a better wandmaker in today's time, kids wouldn't be in half the trouble that they are in. There's been a decline at Hogwarts in students registry. And it's not just Hogwarts. It's Durmstrang, the Beauxbatons, and even the American Illimori. I think it's because of the inferior wands that are going around, or maybe even worse than that. Maybe kids are not being taught enough about magic. Not like I was, and that was so long ago. Yeah. You remember what it was like in Ravenclaw, don't you? I remember you didn't talk much, but you were very good at casting spells. I might be slipping in my old age. Only 3 years graduated, and here we are. Just be safe. Don't do anything stupid. I'm not trying to, but we need to figure out what was really going on. All right, so you have his book. What are you going to do now? Well, unfortunately, this is only part of it. There's another part of his journal out there somewhere. What do you mean? Well, this journal here contains roughly about a few hundred pages, but all it ever details is his family tree. All it details is his family tree, wood, magical wood that's been used in wand making, cores, flexibility, how each wand is shaped up as you are creating it, as well as the size. How do you determine size? However, it doesn't tell you how to do it. It's just an information guide. It's not even an instruction manual. This is only one of his many journals. I think there might be more out there. And how do you suppose you're going to find them all? Well, I may have my sources, but I don't know. I mean, this one took me forever to find. And it was only because someone kind of leaked out that they were selling off a lot of his stuff. But speaking of which, does anyone live at the Ollivander house? From my understanding, it was boarded up after he died. I think that's where I'm going to start my investigation next. Ollivander's actual house. Do you think you're going to find what you're looking for there? I might, but I'm not 100% sure. This definitely is going to create some issues. As she begins to pack up and leave, she does tell him to be okay as he shuts the door. He begins resting some more as he's beginning to think about how he's going to break into an old shack. Or at least what a house that looks like an old shack. But can't be any worse than what he lives in. He lives in a one-bedroom, single-room house that is smaller than anything. Even with all the magic in the world and that he is capable of, he cannot make it bigger on the inside. After a day's worth of rest, he manages to walk the streets and manage to find his way to Ollivander's, the old house of Ollivander, which has been boarded up and has been said to stay away from. He begins to look around and notices that it's been magically sealed. Interesting. A seal. Now, what would you suppose? Why would it be sealed like that? He began trying to wave his wand around, and the seal just keeps lighting up instead of disappearing. Huh. Somebody drew this. Somebody tough and smart. Well, only one thing I can do to figure this out. And I've actually been dying to visit my old classes again. He manages to make it back home to where he has a fireplace. He opens up a pail of flue. And before he knows it, he says Hogwarts. And he actually throws it down, and he is engulfed by green fire. And he reappears in green fire outside the gates of Hogwarts, the famous school of witchcraft and wizardry. Now that, as he takes a look upon the castle and the bridge that connects it, he goes, now that is a place to visit. Well, time to make it to the library. Other than that, we're going to stop it right there because I'm going to have a library adventure planned for this part. And we will probably re-adjourn this in a few days. For those who joined in, I hope you guys did enjoy the story a little bit of the Craftsman Journal. We are going to do another session of it. Unfortunately, I can't do it all in one session because my throat is getting kind of sore. I think I'm fighting a cold, or I'm starting to come down with the cold. So for those who joined me, thank you so much. Sparta Chris, Mrs. Tabletop. If anybody else, if I missed anyone in chat, sorry about that. But thank you guys for being here. We're gonna come back with a second session, so I hope you guys enjoy that. And thank you and have a great day.